The repair estimate slipped from the dealer's hands and landed on the counter like a final verdict. $200,000. The number stared back at Daniel Carter so fiercely that for a moment he forgot how to breathe. His old pickup truck sat outside the service center under gray skies, silent and motionless, while the single father of one struggled to understand how a vehicle worth less than the repair bill could suddenly become the biggest threat to his family's future. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and never giving up when life seems impossible, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to Secret CEO Stories for more emotional and unforgettable journeys. Daniel stood in the parking lot long after everyone else had left. The evening wind pushed loose papers across the pavement while he stared at the truck. To most people, it was just an aging vehicle with faded paint and over 200,000 miles. To Daniel, it was everything. It carried him to work every morning before sunrise. It took his 10-year-old daughter, Emma, to school. It delivered groceries during weekends when he needed extra income. It had carried hospital supplies when Emma was sick years ago. It was not simply transportation, it was survival. Life had already demanded more from Daniel than most people could imagine. 3 years earlier, he had lost his wife, Sarah, after a sudden illness. One day, they were planning family vacations and discussing Emma's future, and the next he found himself standing alone in a hospital hallway, trying to explain to a little girl why her mother was not coming home. Since then, every day had become a balancing act. Daniel worked long hours as a maintenance technician. He cooked meals, helped with homework, attended school events, paid bills, and tried his best to fill the enormous emptiness left behind by Sarah. Some nights, after Emma fell asleep, he sat quietly in the kitchen, staring at old family photographs and wondering how much longer he could keep everything together. Now this repair estimate felt like another cruel test. The dealership claimed the truck needed major electronic components, wiring systems, and engine control replacements. The estimate exceeded $200,000. Even if the number was somehow exaggerated, it was far beyond anything Daniel could afford. That night he drove home in silence. Emma noticed immediately that something was wrong. She saw it in the way he avoided eye contact and pushed food around his plate without eating. She did not ask questions. She simply sat beside him on the couch and rested her head on his shoulder. Sometimes love does not need words. The next morning, Daniel woke before dawn. He looked at the repair estimate again. The numbers still felt unreal. Yet something inside him refused to surrender. Years ago, before life became complicated, Daniel loved fixing things. He spent weekends repairing lawnmowers, appliances, and old engines. His father had taught him that machines were like puzzles. Most problems had causes. Most causes had solutions. And sometimes expensive failures were really simple mistakes, hiding in plain sight. That memory stayed with him all day. After work, instead of accepting defeat, Daniel opened the truck's hood and began inspecting everything himself. The process was slow and exhausting. Night after night, after Emma went to bed, he sat in the driveway with a flashlight. He checked connections. He studied diagrams online. He watched repair videos. He read technical forums. His hands became stained with grease. His eyes grew tired from staring at screens and wiring charts. Neighbors occasionally walked by and shook their heads sympathetically. Some believed he was wasting time. Others quietly admired his determination. Days turned into a week. Then, one evening, while tracing a bundle of wires near the engine compartment, Daniel noticed something unusual. One small sensor connector looked slightly damaged. It seemed insignificant. Most people would have ignored it. The dealership certainly had. But Daniel's instincts would not let it go. He removed the connector and inspected it under brighter light. A tiny section showed signs of corrosion and wear. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that looked capable of creating a catastrophic failure. Yet the more he researched, the more curious he became. Certain sensor failures could create error codes that triggered a chain reaction of misleading diagnostics. Systems would report multiple failures even when only one component was actually malfunctioning. His heart started beating faster. Could this really be the source of everything? The next day during lunch break, Daniel visited a small auto parts store across town. He showed the old connector to the employee behind the counter. The replacement part cost $14. Just 14. Daniel almost laughed. After staring at a $200,000 estimate, holding a $14 part felt absurd. Still, he bought it. That evening felt different. Emma sat on the porch doing homework while Daniel carefully installed the replacement. The sky glowed orange as the sun disappeared beyond the neighborhood rooftops. Birds settled into trees. The air felt unusually still. Daniel tightened the final connection. Then he climbed into the driver's seat. For a moment, he simply sat there. His hands trembled slightly. Months of financial pressure, years of responsibility, and countless sleepless nights seemed to gather inside that single moment. He inserted the key. The engine turned once, twice. Then suddenly it roared to life. Not a rough sputter, not a struggling start, a strong, healthy, confident roar. Daniel froze. He could hardly believe what he was hearing. The warning lights that had haunted him for weeks disappeared one by one. The dashboard cleared. The engine settled into a smooth idle. Outside, Emma dropped her pencil and jumped from her chair. Her eyes widened with excitement. Daniel stepped out of the truck and simply stared at it. For several seconds, neither father nor daughter spoke. Then Emma ran toward him. The hug that followed carried every fear, every setback, every burden they had endured together. Daniel held his daughter tightly while tears filled his eyes. It was never really about the truck. It was about hope. It was about refusing to quit. It was about proving that impossible situations are not always what they seem. News of the repair spread surprisingly fast through the community. Friends shared the story. Neighbors told others about the single father who solved a $200,000 problem with a $14 part. Many people focused on the money, but those who truly understood focused on something much deeper. They saw a father who refused to give up. They saw resilience. They saw love. A few weeks later, Daniel received an unexpected letter from a local business owner who had heard his story. The owner admired Daniel's determination and offered him a better-paying position managing maintenance operations for several commercial properties. The new opportunity changed everything. The income helped stabilize their finances. The schedule allowed Daniel more time with Emma. For the first time in years, the future looked brighter than the past. One evening, while driving home together, Emma looked out the truck window at the passing sunset and smiled. Daniel glanced at her and realized something important. The greatest victories in life are not always measured by money. Sometimes they are measured by the moments when you choose not to surrender. Sometimes They arrive disguised as tiny opportunities that everyone else overlooks. And sometimes the difference between despair and hope is only $14 and the courage to keep searching. Before we reach the end, I have a special request for you. Please comment below with the words, "Never give up." Your comment may inspire someone who is fighting a difficult battle right now. Years later, Daniel would still remember that repair estimate, not because of the shocking number, but because it taught him a lesson he carried forever. Experts can be wrong. Circumstances can look hopeless. Life can place enormous obstacles in front of us. Yet determination, patience, and faith often reveal solutions where others see only failure. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Secret CEO Stories. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories to people around the world who need hope. As the old truck rolled down the quiet road beneath a sky full of stars, Daniel and Emma were not thinking about money, repair bills, or hardship anymore. They were thinking about tomorrow. And for the first time in a very long time, tomorrow felt full of possibility.